Hello, and welcome back to the Belligerent Bastards podcast. I'm Trevor, and yeah, no one else is here. It's just me, myself, and I, baby. It's the Trevor Show now. Nah, I'm just kidding. Well, I bet you're all wondering, Trevor, why are you doing this alone? Where's Cooper, Aiden, and Logan? Well, so the thing is, I want to get these out. I want to get these podcasts out at like a very like normal time, or at least like I try to do it weekly, or I try to do it bi-weekly, if rare instance bi-weekly, but I want to try to get these out weekly, and I'm still trying to pick out which date these podcasts can come out. So I'm still trying to figure out how that's going to work. Also, the reason I'm doing a solo episode is because there's been a lot of scheduling issues between me and the boys. It's nothing against them. It's overlapping schedules. I mean, it's like near the end of the college semester for most of us. So like Cooper's at like his film college, and Logan's like he's got his community college. I got college. So it's kind of hard to get together sometimes, even on a platform where we can all talk, especially Cooper, because not trying to call out Cooper or anything, but he's working on projects and he's like doing all this film stuff, and I completely get that 100%, and he should focus on his schoolwork. When it comes to college, I feel like this is kind of like secondary, to be fair, but I do enjoy making content, and I enjoy doing this podcast thus far, and I want to be able to like put these videos out. So I suggested to everyone, I'm like, hey guys, what do you think if I do a solo episode? And they're like, yeah, sure, yeah, go for it. Like a lot of podcasts have like solo episodes. So here I am. And oh yeah, if you can notice, I do sound a little bit differently. And that's because I recently got a new mic. I got a new, let's see, like a Logitech Yeti mic, and it's really cool. We are not sponsored, by the way. We're not sponsored. But I mean, hey, if we get more views down the line, and this podcast really takes off, I mean, I'm just like, Logitech, come on, baby. But like, besides that, no, we have no sponsors. This is we are just kind of like slowly climbing our way to the top, and that's okay. That's how everybody has their humble beginnings, and this is ours. So I went to talk to the boys. I mentioned, hey, you know what, I'm gonna think of a topic that I can talk about without, because there's certain things that I'm sure like Aiden wants to talk about, Cooper wants to talk about, Logan wants to talk about, and we all kind of want to be there together, instead of just me kind of just talking about it and then we just do another episode on it. So we feel like that would kind of be a waste of time. So I went ahead and I picked out a topic that I feel like is exclusively me, something that like I'm very kind of, well, yeah, I'm passionate about it. Like it's a franchise that I enjoy very much, even though it could be quite problematic. So without further ado, I am going to introduce Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, this is going to be the first anime episode and the first solo episode. So a lot of firsts today, folks. So yeah, so I thought like an anime topic would be the best, because like Cooper and Aiden, they don't really watch anime. They're not the biggest weebs out there. I know Logan does. Logan, I know you're listening. You love Cowboy Bebop. You got that tattoo on your arm, says so long Space Cowboy. If you know, you know. Yeah, but shout out again for the boys letting me to do my own solo episode. And yeah, let's get right into it. So let me just bring up my notes. So I bet you're all, so for people who don't know what Jujutsu Kaisen is, it is an anime. But like, what is it about? So I'm just going to give a quick little plot summary. So Jujutsu Kaisen is about a high schooler named Yuji Itadori. And so Yuji, he's like unusually athletic, but he doesn't play sports. He actually is part of a paranormal activity club, and he enjoys like getting together with his friends and talking about like, his creepy, cryptic stuff. He has a pretty normal life. He his grandpa's in a hospital, the normal stuff. It's normal until he stumbles into the world of curses, malevolent, monstrous spirits born from human negativity. So Yuji's classmates, or Yuji's like club members, they found this finger. They found this finger, this creepy looking severed finger. And what they don't know is that it's a powerful cursed object, and when they unsealed it, it's a mummified finger, but when they unsealed it, a horde of deadly curses like just straight up and fucking attacked the school. And to save them, Yuji does the most fucking dumbest thing, but it's also the smartest thing possible. It's kind of like a dumb smart. He eats the cursed finger to gain the power to fight back. But now that he's eaten this finger, little does he know is that he became now the unwilling host of Ryomen Sukuna, the king of curses, a sadistic demon. And so now Ryomen Sukuna, an ancient king of curses, now lives inside of him. Instead of, because he's now a vessel of Ryomen Sukuna, there are now these people called the Jujutsu Sorcerers. And so the Jujutsu Sorcerers, they kill curses. And so there's specifically one Jujutsu Sorcerer by the name of Satoru Gojo. He is giving orders to exterminate Yuji. And then Gojo, he comes up to and talks to like the heads, the big heads, the upper ups, and he says, "Hey, listen, let's not kill this guy. He can be useful. Why don't we use him as a little tracker to get all the rest of the fingers? We'll get him to consume all the fingers, and then we'll kill him at the end, so Sukuna will die, and then it prevents the risk of him ever coming back." And so, at first, hesitant, the higher ups give him the thumbs up, and now he is used. So they're keeping him alive for now, so he can find and consume the rest of Ryomen Sukuna's fingers, becoming a vessel strong enough to destroy him for good. So the whole thing about like Ryomen Sukuna and Yuji is that like Yuji has access to his body. He can like willingly he can will his way out of like control of Sukuna. And basically, Sukuna's just trapped inside of him, is the best way I could describe it. And from there on, Yuji is pulled into a secret world of Jujutsu sorcerers. And these sorcerers are trained in combat using their own cursed energy techniques. He joins Tokyo Jujutsu High and teams up with two students named Megami Fushiguro and Nobara Kugisaki, and under the mentorship of Satoru Gojo. But, this world, it's anything but safe. The curses are getting stronger, the villains are plotting, and Yuji is constantly teething on the edge of life and death and total possession. This show is very fast-paced, it's brutal, it's emotional, and it's got some of the wildest fights and darkest twists that you can see in the modern anime. I'm not going to get into spoilers just yet. Well, I'll first reveal that I'm going to do anime spoilers, and then I will eventually go to manga stuff, and I'll mention manga spoilers are coming up, and then you can skip it this time. But for right now, that's basically the plot of Jujutsu Kaisen, and I bet you have a lot of questions. Like, what are curses? What is a power system in this world? What are Jujutsu sorcerers? There's a lot of questions, and it's very confusing. But basically, I'm going to start off with something basic. So, what is cursed energy in this show? Cursed energy is a form of spiritual energy that leaks from humans as a result of their negative emotions. So like, I don't know, like somebody got fired from their job and they're angry, or like somebody's getting made fun of at school, or just any negative human emotion and it manifests into the bodies of cursed spirits. And it's also used by sorcerers and cursed spirits to fuel their jujutsu. So cursed spirits, they're a race of spiritual beings that are invisible to the human eye and are incarnated from cursed energy that leaks out of humans. So cursed spirits haunt and bring harm to humanity and are like, they're targeting Jujutsu sorcerers, and they're basically no good. They want to cause nothing but havoc, and they are usually at places that cause dread, like schools, office buildings, abandoned buildings. So Jujutsu sorcerers are individuals secretly trained and employed by the government of Japan to defend the country from cursed spirits. And they're basically humans that are capable of using jujutsu, and they're known as sorcerers because I've been using sorcerers a lot. So jujutsu sorcerers are known for using cursed energy, and they have cursed techniques, and they do amazing things with this jujutsu. And so a cursed technique is their abilities that are fueled by cursed energy, and they kind of manifest depending on the person. So there's different types, including innate techniques, barrier techniques, shikigami, new shadow style, and many, many more. And I know this all, like, this is even confusing for me. The power scaling in this world and like the intricacies of cursed energy, it can be quite inconsistent at times because you wonder how it works, and I think that's kind of what draws to me. because it's like involves all this kind of like mystery almost, and like it kind of gets you thinking, does this work? What does this do? Why does it do this? And so with cursed techniques and cursed energy, specifically cursed techniques, they depend on the person. So you have innate techniques, which are unique abilities engraved into the user's body. So in the right prefrontal cortex of the brain that I'm seeing right here. So most of the Jujutsu sorcerers are born with an innate technique that manifests around the age of 5 or 6. And so every sorcerer that has a technique, it's specific to them. Nobody really has it. It's kind of like My Hero Academia quirks. Everybody has a specific quirk that's like innate to them, and it could depend on what kind of curse techniques their parents have, or it could just be, or kind of what their personality is like. There's like a lot of, curse techniques. Now there's non-innate techniques that I'm going to get into if I can find it. So there's non-innate techniques. So non-innate techniques are just skills that anyone with cursed energy can have and can learn to use through training. And so a lot of these techniques are, you can use, it's called, there's like simple barrier, which can conceal or contain or deny entry to others within that space. There's curtains that hide, and much, much more. And I'll get into it. But there's a lot of non-innate techniques that a Jujutsu sorcerer can learn that I think are pretty cool. But here is my most favorite technique that people can learn, and it's probably the most intricate. It is called the Black Flash. And so what the Black Flash is basically when you try to hit something, and then at the last physical second, you imbue your body part with cursed energy. It will like distort space and create and increase the power of a normal hit to the power of 2.5. So it multiplies 2.5 of the hit. And then I kind of want to go over another innate technique, which is called reverse curse technique. And so basically it's a special kind of curse technique that takes curse energy and reverses it into positive energy. So it's a negative and a negative, and it infuses into one, and then it kind of like heals you. It's very complex, and it's mainly used to heal the human body. Okay, lastly, what I want to go over for the power system is that there is one of the highest levels of Jujutsu sorcery, and it's called the Domain Expansion. And it's an advanced barrier technique, and it's considered the pinnacle of Jujutsu sorcery, and it constructs the user's innate domain inside a barrier infused to their innate curse technique. And within a domain expansion, the user's curse techniques are improved that any activated are guaranteed to hit. So it's kind of like a zone. It's kind of like it creates a zone where you're in a zone, and any attack that you make inside your domain, it's a guaranteed hit. Is the best way that I can describe it. And it's like it's the most broken ability. However, after using your domain, you cannot use your curse technique for so it's got a downside. So you got to use it wisely. Okay, so moving on from the power system of JJK, I kind of want to move towards the characters. So I like Yuji. I like Yuji as a character, and I love his whole story, and I love how his like rise to him becoming a Jujutsu sorcerer, and also his fight scenes, like chef's kiss. They're amazing. So Yuji doesn't really have a curse technique to call his own. So before I continue, I'm going to mention I'm going to be talking about the anime itself, and I'm going to be spoiling the anime that is season 1 and 2. So anytime moving forward, I'm going to be talking about the anime, and it's going to be spoiled. So I just want everybody to keep an open mind, and if you want to watch JJK and you don't want to get spoiled, then I suggest you should tune out and then come back in and kind of like watch the rest of the episode, because I would very much appreciate that. But if you don't care or you already watched it, then let's get right into it. So with Yuji, he doesn't really have a curse technique of his own. He more so just got curse energy from the curse finger he ate that was Sukuna's. So he has the ability to use curse energy, but he doesn't really have a curse technique. So he more so is just like he just boxes, and the scenes are brutal. Like his fight scenes are awesome let's see, I'm trying to think of a good example, but like the Mahito fight in the Shibuya arc, like that whole sequence was insane. I don't know what other way I could say it. The man just fucking boxes. Like his curse technique is fucking catch these hands. But I like him. Fushiguro's all right. He's all right. I like his technique. I feel like things go get more interesting for him in the manga, and I'm not gonna spoil the manga just yet. I will, yeah, but I'm not gonna say anything just yet. So I'm gonna keep going. One character I really want to talk about, and I feel like one character that really kind of steals the spotlight from Yuji, even though he is the main protagonist, Satoru Gojo. Okay, like it's insane. Like it's very rare, I would say, that like a side character actually kind of like steals the show from the main. Actually, you know what? I take that back. You know, there's a lot of instances, but I feel like just Gojo himself, I feel like he's just great comic relief because the show is like very dark and things happen and people die and the creator Gege he don't give a fuck about what happens to the characters. He would just throw them out. You know, there's no this isn't like, oh, everybody lives at the end. No, people die. It's sad. But no, but I like his character. Like I said, he's a comic relief. Like he's like cocky and he has a reason, a very good reason to be cocky because he is the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer. And so let me break this down. So in Jujutsu Kaisen, curse and a Jujutsu sorcerer are ranked between grades. From weakest to strongest is you got grade 4, you got grade 3, grade 2, grade 1, and then you have special grade. Now, Satoru Gojo is a special grade sorcerer, but even among special grade sorcerers, he's in a like I don't even think people even think special grade isn't even a way to like describe him. He's in his own league of his own. And it's because every Jujutsu sorcerer has their own curse technique. For example, Megumi Fushiguro, he has a curse technique that is called the 10 Shadows. And so with his curse technique, he can summon 10 different Shimigami by doing certain hand signs. And so he can like summon like divine wolves, toads, birds, like it, and even one that he can't even control himself, Maharaga, which I don't know, just every time I don't know, there's a certain pose he does with Maharaga, and then people make a big meme out of it, and I think it's funny. But like okay, so Gojo's curse technique is something totally different because so he has a curse technique that is called Limitless and is passed down between the Gojo family. And so there's like certain clans in Jujutsu Kaisen. You got there's the Gojo clan, and then there's also a more like popular clan that is called the Zenin clan, and they're both at odds. But that's a whole thing. That's a whole different thing. But so curse techniques get passed down between generations. So Limitless has been passed down between Gojo's ancestry for a very long time. Basically, it's a technique that grants its user 9 absolute control over the space through curse energy manipulation at an atomic level, resulting in multiple subsequent results and techniques with the overall ability. With the manipulation of space as just the base level of the technique, Limitless has 3 standard and 1 non-standard form beyond this. So what Limitless allows him to do is so he can create a barrier around himself that making him impossible to hit even if you tried. And along with this technique, he also has infinity. So this is also from the Limitless technique. But being the neutral form of Limitless, infinity is commonly known as the ability to stop. Although this is a common misconception because the true power of infinity is also to slow things down. When something attempts to hit Satoru, the person or object in question, instead it hits infinity between him and himself. So like I said, force field barrier, like it's wild. Like how can you beat someone that you can't hit? So that's why. So along with the Limitless technique, he also has a curse technique called Blue, which is a reinforced version of Limitless as well. Which Blue is the byproduct of Gojo amplifying the Limitless with negative curse energy, producing a vacuum. Yeah, so he can pull objects towards him for like a hit. And the other, along with Limitless, he also has Red. Being the inversion of Blue, Red has the opposite effect by flowing positive energy from the reverse technique into his Limitless technique. He inverts the properties of Blue and activates a divergence of infinity, causing an extreme powerful repulsive force, and it blasts away the target. So red's output at least is twice as much as the energy as blue. Although blue is powerful on its own, red can create shock waves. That is nothing compared to this, like, to the last technique he has, which he creates the hollow technique, purple. It is an advanced technique that collides red and the red reversal of limitless, resulting in the creation of imaginary mass. And it's probably known as his, like, most powerful attack. Now limitless on its own, it's not going to do much, because the reason why Gojo is so special is it's not because he just has limitless, but he also has a trait that has been passed down through his family combined with his limitless, and it's called the six eyes. And it's an innate trait that is rarely inherited by individuals within the Gojo clan. Similar to the limitless, these eyes grant the wielder incredible perception and precise control of their cursed energy, even when they're completely obscured. The six eyes function is the high definition of infrared vision, allowing the user to preserve their environment through the flow of cursed energy. These eyes also allow the user to see through a sorcerer's curse technique and determine its nature. So it's another thing about his eyes is that, yeah, so it allows him to conserve his cursed energy, and therefore this combined with limitless makes him, like, makes him a big ass threat, and is probably the reason why that when he was born, like, all the curses had to adapt to this new tipping scale of power. It's insane. It's just, and if you go deeper into his character, he's not just like some cocky, like funny little goofball. Like, he has a background, he has a past. And one of the arcs, he had a best friend named Suguru Gato, and they went to Jujutsu High together. They did all these things together. They had a good time. Gato had, like, a confliction about himself, and he's like tired of trying to protect the normal people. And then he goes full Frieza and becomes extremely racist against non-sorcerers, calling them quote unquote monkeys. Yeah, that's Frieza. But yeah, which eventually forces Gojo's hand into ending him, sadly. But shortly after he gets introduced to Megami Fushiguro, a young Megami Fushiguro. I'm talking like 5 years old. And then they have kind of like a father-son dynamic, because something about Megami Fushiguro is that he is a descendant from the Zenin clan. They try to keep it on the down low because his dad was kind of like a bad dude. He was a hitman, just like, which Gojo eventually had to kill him, like, which had to be the best moment in JJK, which that came the quote, throughout heaven and earth, I am the honored one. It puts a hole through Toji's stomach. But yeah, no, it's like the anime world wasn't ready for that blindfold to come off, bro. It's, yeah, like, he's so cool. Like, I don't even know how to get more into it. Like, he's awesome. He's just that guy. He's that guy. Okay, so moving on from the Gojo talk, I want to talk about okay, so there's a lot of arcs in JJK, but one arc that I feel that is, like, the most popular and the most, like, people are like, "Oh my god, this is so good." Like, well, it's the most recent arc, but I feel like once the manga stuff drops, I feel like it will be overshadowed. But I'm talking about the Shibuya incident arc, which I know this is like cookie cutting, but it is one of my favorite arcs. I really enjoyed very much. So basically, just to break it down, okay, so there is this, so basically the big, or one of the big bads of the series, because you got Sukuna, you got Mahito, and then you got a guy named Kenjaku. And so Kenjaku has a curse technique that allows him to put his brain in others and take over their bodies. So with his new host being Suguru Gato, now this is the old friend of Gojo, which is kind of, you know, it's kind of fucked up, but, like, so he has stitches on his forehead indicating that, like, the brain swap. And so with this technique, in the body of Suguru Gato, he can use his technique, which allows him to kind of turn curses into, like, these orbs. And when he eats one, he gains that curse's power, or he can summon those specific curses to do his bidding. So Kenjaku, knowing this, takes his body and does a bunch of evil shit with it. So the Shibuya incident is basically a major Jujutsu terrorist attack orchestrated by Kenjaku, and it takes place in Shibuya. Hence the Shibuya incident. And so this is the goal of sealing Satoru Gojo inside the prison realm. And so during this incident, okay, so it all kind of like takes place near the Shibuya subways. So all these special grade curses come in a attack, and like the higher ups were like, "Well, shit, we gotta send Gojo. We gotta bring Gojo." So Gojo shows up, and he tries to like protect the people down there. And it becomes this whole entire Quicksilver moment because time like looks like it stops around him because he's so fast. So the main goal is them trying to seal him. So eventually, once they trick him, they like use civilians they put him in a place where there's a bunch of civilians, so therefore he can't really exercise his true power because people will be caught as in the crossfire, and Kenjaku's plan for this. So he uses that and eventually gets Gojo right where he needs him and puts him in this thing called the prison realm, which locks a person inside. I don't know the specifics of the prison realm, but I feel like it's a more so a plot device to get rid of him because he's so fucking overpowered and the plot can't really continue if he's still there. So they had to, in my opinion, I feel that's what they had to do. So so in the Shibuya incident, they were kind of split into response teams. So you got a Zenin team, you got Nanami team, you got the Kusabi team, and you got the Meme team. And they all kind of patrol down and they take down curses along the way. So basically the whole arc it's just a massacre of people and a lot of lives are lost and a couple of main characters, especially a specific one that really got me upset was Nanami because part of Team Nanami. Like I didn't mention Nanami before, but in the past he's mentored Yuji and kind of like showed him the ropes of being a Jujutsu sorcerer. So he like brought him on missions and shit, and he got to know his character and he got like and all that. And then eventually one of the cursed spirits is one of the cursed spirits named Jogo, who's got like a fire curse technique, fucking incinerates him right in front of Yuji. This guy cannot catch a break. Like this man literally had a normal life and then sees every single person die around him, man. It's like he can't catch a break, bro. He's like one of the most tragic people. But so the whole point is like everybody's trying to get to the bottom of the subway because they want to get near the prison realm and possibly release Gojo. But like, shenanigans ensue, and eventually Jogo, the fire curse I mentioned, feeds Yuji 10 Sukuna figures because Genjaku's clan, they kind of collected Sukuna's fingers. And with this amount of fingers, Yuji's unconscious at this point because he had a fight earlier, but with these 10 figures, Sukuna emerges. And this fight between Jogo and Sukuna, with Sukuna being in Yuji's body, is a fucking insane one. Like, it was like a thing out of Dragon Ball. And Sukuna has like this thing, like a flaming arrow, which he kind of like poses himself to shoot a kind of like flaming charge at like the enemy. And it's like super cool to see the fire kind of like clashing together. But eventually, Sukuna wins, and Jogo ends up dying from Sukuna. But such a good fight. But that's not even the best fight, honestly. It's just one of my highlights. One of my favorite fights has to be in the anime is Yuji versus Mahito. So once Yuji wakes up from his Sukuna infused fucking rampage, he realized what he's done, and he takes a minute to be like, holy fuck. Killed all those people. And he throws up in disgust. Sure, there was like a lot of damage earlier from Gojo's fight and like all the curses killing people and all this happening. But like, there were like a lot of people in the buildings that they were in, and would gain consciousness, and all through all those memories he is just disgusted, but he keeps going because he needs to get to Gojo, and he kind of forces himself to go down. So he finally meets up with Mahito, and what Mahito is that he is her spirit that has the resemblance of a human, and he has a curse technique that is called idol transfiguration. So he can manipulate the soul of whoever he touches. So he can like touch a person and they're a pile of mush now. It's fucked up. It's like and with this curse technique, so Nobara with the same goal as Yuji, and I could be misremembering. All right, so there's certain parts that like I could be misremembering, and they'd be like, "Oh, Trevor, that didn't happen." I'm just, I'm just giving my thoughts, man. I'm just, this is my first solo episode. Cut me some slack, okay? I'm doing my best, okay? I'm doing my best. But anyways, yeah, Navarro gets down, and Haito was like, "Wait, I can break this kid's resolve by killing his friend." So he puts his hand on Navarro's face and blows it up. I shouldn't be laughing, but like it's like such a jarring moment, which really gets Yuji like off the deep end. Of course, he's distraught at first, and he's getting his ass kicked, but then he starts boxing the shit out of Monte. He threw like the most powerful kick that like towards the pillar, and I'm like kind of like looking at the scene right now, and it is the most brute like Mappa, the fucking masterpiece, dude. Like I cannot glaze this series enough. It's a dark series and it's got comedic bits, and probably what JJK is known for is its fights, and they got the best fights that I have seen in anime. Like I've gotten to anime like quite, I'd say like a couple years ago I got into it, and JJK got introduced to me by my sister's husband, my brother-in-law. But he's like, "Dude, Trevor, you gotta watch this," and I'm like, "Okay," and I just immediately fell in love, and then I got into manga. But I feel like this fight scene solidified it all because it eventually kind of gets out. Like Yuji teams up with Io Todo. Todo, this guy, I love Todo. He is he is also a Jujutsu sorcerer that is from a different school, but he is the pure definition of he's just insane. He's an insane dude. He's probably not all there, but he kicks ass. And he has probably one of my favorite curse techniques in the show, which is called Boogie Woogie, which allows him him clapping his hands together allows him to switch positions with anything within like a certain range, which is overpowered, especially with him and Yuji because him and Yuji are like in sync when they fight. And so he'll like switch positions between Mahito and Yuji, and like Yuji and Mahito, him and Mahito, him and Yuji, and it becomes a beatdown. They just jump this dude, and it's like so fun to see, especially with his curse technique, because it's like one of my favorites because just the way he uses it is so creative. Like there's like one where they almost get hit by a train, and he just threw rocks out of this man threw rocks out of his pockets, infused them with curse energy, and fucking just, and then boom, they're like out of the way, and like rocks switch places with them. So as long as the thing has curse energy in it, he could switch places with it. So he has to infuse a certain object with curse energy for a Boogie Woogie to be able to be even work. But like what I mean, that plus his raw strength is he's overpowered. Not Gojo overpowered, but definitely overpowered. He's like probably one of the besides Gojo is probably like one of the fucking toughest like strongest characters I know. But eventually Toto gets tapped out, his hand gets chopped off, rendering him not be able to use his technique because he can only use his technique if he claps his hands together. So it's like, yeah, so with that in mind, Yuji finally backs Mahito into a corner. From an earlier he tells Yuji, well, earlier on in the series that like he and him are not so different. They're basically the same. He kills because he believes that people are a waste of space, and Yuji thinks curses are not supposed to be here and they're a waste of space, and he exterminates them anyway. So what's the true difference between them? And Yuji's like, "No, we're not the same. You kill people," and so he's like up all against it. And then, but one of my favorite scenes is where he backs Minato in a corner and he like gives a whole monologue speech saying that like because when a cursed spirit gets defeated or killed, it comes back as it reincarnates as a different spirit. And so Yuji was like, "Oh, I'll kill you now, and then I'll kill you again and again and again and again, and I will always be there to stop you. And you know what? You were right about one thing. I am you." And that clip alone was hard as fuck. I was like mouth agaped. It was like one of those moments where you had to be there. And so good, dude. So after that, Kenjaku finds Mahito in the dirt, and Mahito, thinking that Kenjaku is going to give him a hand, instead, Kenjaku turns Mahito into a curse orb and then eats him, gaining his idol transfiguration. And that is basically the end of the Shibuya arc. And now Yuji is wanted now as a criminal because even though Sukuna killed all those people in Shibuya, they're like, they're since Gojo's gone, no one's there to protect Yuji from not getting executed. So they're like, dude, like Sukuna's killed way too many people. We gotta kill this kid. Like he is too dangerous to be left. Yeah, out of the mouth of Mace Windu, he is too dangerous to be left alive. And that is the end of the last arc in the series. Well, not the last arc in the series, but the last arc in the anime, which moves on to the manga portion of it. Now, I do eventually wrap this up here, but I want to wrap it up with kind of what I thought about JJK's ending and its conclusion. So, if anyone is still here, they've watched the anime, but they have not read the manga, I suggest you leave now because I'm gonna count down, and then so people are not gonna get spoiled. But yeah, if you don't want to get spoiled from the manga, because I do want to kind of like get my thoughts about JJK's ending. Yeah, so I would leave just now because I'm about to talk about it in 3, 2, 1. Okay, everybody gone? Okay, cool. Everybody's gone. All right, it's just you and me, manga readers. Let's go. Okay, so the way the manga goes down is that there is so eventually it's the start of the calling games, which is basically a kind of like a battle royale of all the sorcerers from different periods of time, all within Japan. And they're all in different sections. And so during the calling games, they fight and all that, but eventually there's one thing I do want to point out. Sukuna, who made a pact with Yuji because he did kill him, like earlier in the series, with like a certain trigger word, Sukuna can take over Yuji's body for a full minute without killing anybody, without harming anybody. He can do that because that's part of the pact. So he takes over Yuji's body and shoves a finger, or it sounds gay, but no, but he shoves one of his severed, cursed object fingers down Megumi's throat. Or, well, actually, he makes one with Yuji's finger. He like rips Yuji's finger off and puts it. Yeah, it's kind of gay. It sounds gay, but it's not gay because, the creator's gay. But anyways, so now Sukuna is no longer in Yuji. He is in Megumi. Pause. So this was like part of Sukuna's plan all along. He wanted access to Megumi's 10 shadows, especially because earlier on I said in the episode, he has one that's called Maharaga. And normally Megami cannot activate Maharaga. He can't summon Maharaga without like a consequence because he has yet to master Maharaga and he can possibly die if he uses Maharaga. But that's the main reason that Sukuna was after Megami in the first place, because he wanted access to Maharaga and his other Shikigami. And so with this now in mind, they eventually get Gojo out of the seal with the help of another curse user by the name I forget what her name is, but she has a kind of like a symbiotic relationship with this curse called Angel, kind of like the same as kind of like Yuji and Sukuna. Like it's kind of like that kind of dynamic. But with Angel's ability, she can unseal the seal. So Gojo finally gets unsealed, and then they plan for the big battle, which eventually has Sukuna and Gojo have the biggest fight of Jujutsu history, which Gojo put up a pretty good fight. He pulled off some maneuvers that like was never heard of in the series, like using the reverse curse technique reversal on his brain to like immediately use his curse technique after using a domain expansion, which is very dangerous and can fry his brain. Which Sukuna uses the same thing. He adapts to, well, he finds out what he's doing and then he does it himself and it becomes a whole thing. But then, he gets tag teamed by Sukuna and then like other Shikigami and then Maharaga. And so Gojo's got like a 3v1 on his hands. And eventually Sukuna finds a way to get through Gojo's infinity and slices him in half and Gojo dies. Honestly, if Sukuna wasn't in Megumi's body, I think Gojo might have had a chance. I think he would have a pretty big chance of beating him. I'm not trying to glaze him. I'm just saying that if it wasn't for the given circumstance, I think he would have won because he got tag teamed. So with Gojo dead and Sukuna's weakened, everybody teams up and tries to take Sukuna down once and for all. And then so they eventually do, like Yuji gets the final blow in, separates Megami and Sukuna, and finally puts an end for Sukuna. What puts an end to Sukuna once and for all. But before doing so, he's like, "Listen, I can let you live. Listen, you can be part of me. You can be, I can be your vessel again. You can be, like I want to give you another chance. Like, it doesn't have to end this way." And Sukuna's like, "I'd rather fucking die than be saved by a rat like you," and then he dies. But yeah, so it turns out Nobara's alive, which that didn't make sense. Like near the end, they just bring her back. I'm like, which I was really confused by. I'm like, why did they bring her back? Her story was gone. I was fuck. It didn't make sense to me, and there were so many plot holes. There was just so many plot holes, like with the ending. And as much as I love JJK, it's just there was so much shit from the calling games and Kenjaku's like plan to like wiping out the whole world, and just there was just so many loose ends, and it was kind of upsetting for me. I mean, it's just disappointing. It's really disappointing for me. But I mean, sure, there was like good things about the ending, and there was also bad things about the ending. It's just I don't know. I don't know, man. It was disappointing. But with all that out of the way, I want to say, thank you again for listening to the Belligerent Bastards podcast. I'm Trevor. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts. And soon enough, our YouTube channel. I am going to, hopefully either this episode or next, it will be on YouTube. And you can watch all the stuff on YouTube. And also, follow our Instagram, because we have Instagram. We have an Instagram now. It is under Belligerent Bastards as well. And that is it. A bastard out. Hey, it's Trevor. I couldn't make it to the phone right now, but you know what to do.
Hey man, I hope the solo episode's going well. I actually just listened to it, and I don't watch the show, but you're basically dick riding Gojo the whole time. Like, you call that content? Like, are you fucking serious? You call that an episode? Fucking loser, man. Listen. I'm gonna just get back to watching horror movies with Aiden and Cooper. But I hope you're there. We'll see you next episode.